Welcome to another episode of the Programmatic Digest podcast. I am super excited for this duo guest we have on the podcast today. I have Augusto Romano from Digo and Anthony Gonzalez from JWP Connatix. Hi to both of you. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Doing well, thank you.
I'm excited to have you both on the podcast today because we're going to talk everything video technology, premium publishers. We're going to highlight this really great partnership between JWP Connatix and Digo. Before we get to the fun conversation, how about Augusto, you lead with a quick introduction. Give me your 30-second intro about who you are, what you do at Digo, and maybe a fun fact about yourself. And then Anthony will be all ears for you.
All right. Well, I'm Augusto Romano. I'm the CEO of Digo. Actually, created the company about 7 years ago.
Nice.
It was uh, a strategic alliance with two largest media groups from the Caribbean. Um, Looking back, we saw that there was a huge audience that was coming into the media sites of these media groups from the continental US,
Mm-hmm.
on both the Puerto Rican and the Dominican diasporas.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured that there was a huge opportunity coming into the market, offering the reach to this audience, to these premium channels. So we created Digo then, and right now we are working with over 65 media groups from all over Latin America. So we represent their audiences and inventory in the continental US,
Mm-hmm.
bringing about 30 million uniques, mostly Spanish dominant and bicultural Hispanics every month,
Oh,
into the reach of brands that want to talk to them and leverage their position in the market.
that's really cool. How about you, Anthony?
Sure. So my name's Anthony. I've been in technology and media sales for a little over 20 years. Been at JW Player Connatix for 7. JW Player and Connatix merged in October, so it's been an exciting few months for us. We just welcomed on a new CEO last week as well.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, what we do is we work with well over 2,000 publishers and deliver about 15 billion monthly video plays. We work with publishers and broadcasters both on the technology to successfully deliver video,
Mhm.
but also on providing unique and impactful monetization tools and strategies.
And is that, let me ask this question again. So the reason why we have both of you on the podcast today is because it's almost the best of both worlds. And let me explain to my viewers on YouTube and to my listeners on all major podcast platforms here. Digo has access to this unique premium video inventory, and JWP Connatix is able to really translate it into the technology that we use on the programmatic side. If I had to really simplify, and maybe Anthony, you can lead here. If I had to simplify this partnership between the two, was that a correct summary?
Sure. What I would say is
Okay.
that no, it's really close. It's really
Okay.
close.
Close enough.
What
Okay.
I would say is Augusto and Digo have done an amazing job of building this exclusive partnership
Mhm.
with Hispanic publishers,
Mhm.
mainly U.S. Hispanic inventory and access.
Got it.
Right. So
Okay.
they power all of the monetization on those properties, not just the.
Okay.
But when it comes to video, our partnership is they're leveraging the JW Player
Mm-hmm.
technology,
Mm-hmm.
as well as what you said in our ad server and programmatic connections. Right. So this enables all of the work that they do to go out for brands and advertisers to really provide a direct SPO friendly path to access this important community and drive it through the end of the page and through our technology. We're powering both the video player, the content, as well as the ad delivery.
Got it. Okay. So Thank you for clarifying. I think it's super important because I feel like video, streaming, CTV, anything streaming these days are a big part of the conversation. If actually, I think AI is a big part of the conversation. And then after AI, I feel like streaming video, all things videos is a big thing. I mean, we talk about consumer behavior just still being super interactive and engaging with anything reels, short form videos. And so maybe for you, my question to you, Augusto, is that based on your consumer base, based on the consumer behavior from Latin America, to Hispanic, to American speaking, Spanish speaking Americans, excuse me. How do you think maybe that behavior has shifted when you look at, I mean, I just heard you said you founded this company 7 years ago, 10 years ago?
7.
7. Okay. So in the last 7 years, what is one consumer trend that has shifted that's really influenced how you even do how we do content these days between that audience and between the technology that's asking us all the time for scale and all the stuff.
Well, the shift that has been very significant is
Yeah.
exactly this. The user, the audience, they want to be able to get their hands on content via video,
Right.
or maybe audio in some instances. So in our particular case,
Mhm.
what we bring to the table are publishers that came from print media, most of them,
Okay.
and they had to really change their way of thinking of how they produce the content because um, originally it was all pictures and text.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that doesn't cut it anymore. And they're producing content, they're producing video content to support every piece of article and news that they're putting out there. So that we've seen the adoption, and we've seen the adoption has forced these media outlets to transform in the way that they are providing the content. So every day we see more efforts and more content in video format being produced, hence the importance of this partnership.
And do you think that understanding, and I already know the answer because I preach it here, but I want my people to hear it. Maybe this is our opportunity to repeat for the people in the back, like we say here, is
Mhm.
that do you think it's really important to understand this shift in consumer behavior in order to maximize performance from a programmatic perspective? So we work mostly with buy side folks, programmatic in-house teams, ad agencies, independent agencies are my sweethearts. And so for some of my clients, I really emphasize the fact that, you got to expand your heart, like your network of partners. Like some partners are great for most, but there are instances such as if you want to target this specific type of audiences, you got to kind of work with the people that are the type of audiences, like you can't always just work with this one partner. You have to diversify. And so maybe Augusto tell us, and then Anthony, I love your point of view on this, but maybe help us buy side folks understand how to reach out to somebody like Digo or JWP Connatix for to maximize our campaign performance. Because
Well, I think it's
what do
very
you think?
I think it's very important for buyers, programmatic buyers, operating platforms, to look for us in all of the programmatic markets and
Hmm.
understand the offering. Uh, JW Player and Connatix are bringing into the table when it comes to particular to the Hispanic population.
Hmm.
So they are connecting all of our premium inventory to their offering, so you can segment to this population, knowing that you are going to deliver your ad in a brand safe environment, in a premium environment where content is
Hmm.
super relevant for our audience. Because, I mean, you got to consider that these media channels, media outlets are covering content in depth that is not really being covered by mainstream media.
Hmm.
So things that are very relevant and important to the Dominican population in the US, to the Puerto Rican population in the US, Ecuadorians, Salvadorians, all of them. So, there's a specific content that you won't find with the level of thoroughness, with the level of depth uh, elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to be connected to this audience in a really uh, memorable way, in a space that is culturally relevant, this is definitely the channel. And the ability to do this programmatically, it's here because of this partnership. So I think that sums it up. What do you say, Anthony?
Sure. I think there's also the efficiency of it, right? You talk about
That's a good
independent
point.
agencies
Definitely.
being some of like your most like loyal users.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard to go out and manage and do direct deals with each of these publishers just for like their US
Yeah.
audiences and try to figure out all this stuff and also make sure that the performance is there,
Mm-hmm.
right? What Digo I think also really brings value in is being that one direct partnership that you can work and manage with,
Mm-hmm.
but get the scale and the uniqueness to your point of those different kind of Hispanic audiences, but working with one partner that understands your goal. And
Mm-hmm.
through the technology, we can make sure that uh, we're hitting your viewability goals, right? Because we're the player and the ad server. So you can get the performance plus the efficiency of working versus trying to manage all these things or doing it in the open.
Got it. So help me put things into perspective. Maybe let's talk about a scenario where this has worked for, and you don't have to name the brand, but help me really put things into perspective for my listener that is whoever you are. Let's say I'm a trader, I'm 3 years in working for independent agencies. I manage about 20 campaigns, hopefully not as much, okay? But sometimes you do manage as much. And I have this campaign that I'm seeing from a data perspective, like when I pull my site list report, this is a scenario and I want your point of view, both of you. So I have a site list, and most of the site lists of sites that maybe I would think Hispanic or Spanish speaking Americans would read. I don't know. Let's say I don't want to give example because I'm not qualified to give any example, but let's say I'm Googling and I'm finding out like, oh, this site is in Spanish, or this site was written by a Spanish author, or at least with a Spanish last name, let's say. Not assuming. Is this a good candidate to work with Digo? Is it a good candidate to work with, the partnership between JWP and JWP Connatix? What would be your point of view for that one trader who's seeing that in my report, I see a bunch of sites where I can assume that this audience may be Latino, Latinx, Hispanic. And my question to you is, how do we bring you into our strategy? Or is this even a good example? If it's not a good example, that's fine. Maybe give us one.
Anthony?
Oh, I was actually gonna pass it over to you.
Okay,
But
well,
like
I'll, I'll take.
what I think is right,
Uh-huh.
if you're managing those campaigns,
Uh-huh.
that is the target audience, right? That
Yeah.
you're looking to get
Mm-hmm.
versus kind of combing through the data that you're getting in a
Mm-hmm.
very like wide, just kind of let me hit the open web
Yeah.
and then kind of funnel down from there.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the publishers that Digo has exclusive partnerships with,
Okay.
they're the most major media companies
Mm-hmm.
throughout Central and South America, right? And that audience reading it in Spanish in the US is going to be highly targeted for that specific goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Really, um, you've got high engaging users, right? These are people that are coming
Mm-hmm.
to what was
Mm-hmm.
either their local media when they were growing up, or
Yep.
people that have a very strong affinity to stay in the know as to what is going on. right? So this isn't just like I saw a headline, I'm reading one paragraph and out, right? This is like high intent of wanting to understand the content. And if you look at all the publishers that they work with, there's a lot of scale there in terms of volume, in terms of number of properties. And I think if you combine that with what that campaign specific goal is, plus
Mhm.
the fact that you can do this, you can still do it programmatically through a PMP,
Oh, for sure.
right? You've got the DSP integrations that we all have
Mhm.
and transact that way. You don't have to do a guessing game. That's
Mhm.
that's my take from it. But I know, Augusto, you're out there speaking with the agencies. That's the way I see it. Like it gives very direct, efficient use of dollars to a highly engaged specific audience.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
I think you hit it right in the nail. Um, I mean, you could, as a buyer, try to guess how to reach the Hispanic population,
Mm-hmm.
and look at reports and try to be very savvy in terms of utilizing the best KPIs out there
Right.
to keep on buying whatever you think is reaching the right target.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no guessing here.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way that the audience that we're
Wow.
bringing, it could be something else, because I'll give you a couple of examples. Like one of our publishers, El Tiempo from Colombia, it's 140 years old.
Wow.
Listín Diario, it's 130. This is from the Dominican Republic. It's 133 years old.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Vanguardia, it's 145 years old. So they're not only the media that people from these countries and places of origin know from they were growing up, or
Yeah.
they cover they cover and they have built organizations that are very trustworthy
Mm-hmm.
and very, very big in terms of their operations in their local countries. So it's comparable to the most premium mainstream media that you can find in the continental US. So that is the parallel that you need to understand. So
Yeah.
the Hispanic goes to these places because of two things that Anthony mentioned very, very, very well. One is because they know these places. They're
Mm-hmm.
very, very familiar with the names. They
Mm-hmm.
have been part of their lives. And also because they cover, and this is for the younger population, they
Yes.
cover the subjects that are culturally relevant in a way that
Mhm.
no mainstream media in the US are going to cover it. Like
Wow.
if you
Okay.
want to go deep, deep into football, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
into music, reggaeton, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever that comes out of our countries,
Mm-hmm.
you can find information there that then you'll find maybe in
Mm-hmm.
mainstream media. So that is why it's so important for
Mm-hmm.
this population,
And
and
mhm.
including myself.
And I really love what you said about it's culturally relevant. And I feel like there are partners who shall remain nameless that throw we are culturally relevant to these audiences. But in my opinion, I'm like, okay, well, how are you culturally relevant? Who on your team can tell me what, like you mentioned, like a Dominican Republic, a Dominican from I don't know, Miami can interact with such publishers in Latin America because they still have their family. Most of us, we still have family overseas. And
Right.
so I feel like there's this miss, and sometimes you do want to see the people that look like that. And I don't, quite frankly, this may or may not hurt somebody's feelings, but at the end of the day, I'm more likely to trust and relate to a person that says they look and can sound and can explain and can relate to the audience I'm trying to research on, to target, to build a strategy for, you know? And so sometimes it is, and that is why I also want to bring the whole premium brand safe definition, because we have some definition that are great in our industry based on other companies. We also have some really great brand safety companies that are trying their best to be not only culturally relevant, but also provide brand safe environment for us buyers to target. And just so everyone knows that, let me preface this is that we put a lot of trust in our DSPs and what DSPs recommend. And there are great DSP partners out there, and there are also good enough DSP partners out here. And so, whether you are in a good or great situation, you still have to do your due diligence to reach out to people like Digo and or reach out to the partners that work with people. I mean, with companies, excuse me, I said people, but I meant to say company like Digo, like JWP Connatix. So it's up to you. You have to do your due diligence. And I always say this, like you got to pick up the pick up the phone, answer that email when they're reaching out to you. Because otherwise we're going to keep bidding on the same thing. We're going to keep it's boring in my opinion, right? Like I think there is a beauty in the open web and the open internet. But the biggest beauty that programmatic can offer is the fact that we can layer different media channel mix. And so some percentage can go to the open internet, some percentage can go to private, some percentage can go to grantee or even curated wherever you are. And so tying it back to what we were discussing, I think that'll be our final questions before we go to the closing segment here. But maybe define brand safe environment to us, or maybe define what premium can be. If there's one thing you want the audience to remember about this episode is premium inventory should look like boom. How about you lead, Augusto?
Yeah,
And
I
then
would like,
Anthony, you give me your
yes,
2 or 3 bullet point.
we rely a lot on on technology to not to define, but actually to determine what's brand safe and what's not brand safe.
Mm-hmm.
And DSPs are great platforms. There are some that are super great, not to mention any. And there are also some verification tools that are very important in the market. And coming from the programmatic buying side, the use of verification tools is uh, actually very, very important when it comes to executing campaigns
Wow.
open in the open web and outside the open web. You want to make sure that you have all the controls in place
Yeah.
to guarantee your advertiser, your
Yeah.
client, a good execution. But when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
Spanish language content, and when you're trying to reach this audience, you have to think outside that particular box because if you layer on your programmatic buy, whichever type of engagement you create, and you have verification tools that are not properly synced with the media or the publisher, if you share the mechanics on which you are blocking certain part of content, you
Yes.
can get a lot of uh, you know errors in that process.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that gets in between the scale that you can actually have on these platforms. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand, okay, so why are these places brand safe? Well, I would say you have to think outside technology for a little bit and go back to where they are, who they are, and where
I
they
like
come from.
that. Mm-hmm.
These are at least in Digo's network. What we do is that we talk to the media groups that owns news sites and TV stations from Latin America
Yeah.
and Spain. And what
Yep.
we want is to bring these kind of actors into our offering because we know that they have a lot of structure put into developing the right content. I mean, you could agree or not agree with the way they produce their content, or whether they're leaning towards one side or another. That's
Yep.
another thing. But when it comes to the structure that the way they invest in generating content and having the footprint that they have, that is important. We're not talking about blogs. We're talking about, and not to, there are blogs that are very important, but I'm
Yeah.
saying these are initiatives that have been transforming their business from legacy business like print media to full blown out digital experiences that we have today. So I think that you have to consider that, and you have to take that into account when it comes to understanding brand safety in our area.
I love that. Anthony, what's your POV?
Sure. When it comes to premium, I think there's two ways to categorize it, right? There's premium audiences,
Right?
premium content.
Okay.
There's some cases, right, when you bring those two together and you also get very large scale.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some where you bring that together and it's not massive scale, but it's highly engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you think about what we're,
So good.
what JW Player Connatix is kind of doing out there in the marketplace, 80% of the ComScore 25 leverage our technology to power their video, right? So that's a lot of scale. It's a lot of premiumness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of demanding things, right? That we need to make sure that we're building, that we're supporting, that we're enabling.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? And then, like I said, you can also have that and not have it be, billions of page views, but a highly important and engaged and focused audience, right? And I think that's where some of the stuff that Digo's doing comes in, right? You take all this stuff and you bring it together in a really safe place
Right.
that provides like a direct path to performative advertising within that community.
Yeah.
Right. And especially like with this topic, right, it might not be as big as the largest US publications, right? But the US Hispanic audience is 20% of our population.
Mm-hmm.
They have $2.7 trillion of spending power. Right. This is a premium audience that you have to find a genuine way to engage with. Right. And I think that's where the direct path there and the partnership really enables both, from the independence
Wow.
that you're working with up to the
Yeah.
holdcos, like a really manageable, performative way to work.
And I love that. And that's a great example and how it's a great example about when you say we gotta see the full picture. It's like it's 20% of the audience. Okay, it's only 20%, but it represents what was it, 2.6, 2.7 trillion, you said?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, like 2.7 or so.
Let's throw the word approximately 2.7 trillion US dollars. And so maybe your 20% may look like a number that's not scalable, but at the end of the day, they have very scalable and strong buying power. And that's the type of data we want to see. And I feel like that's the type of, even like, let me throw this word, like authenticity we want to see is that in your messaging, in your strategy, you cannot loop everything into one. That 20% is very specific. I mean, you heard Augusto and both and Anthony say the same thing. It's like it's such a unique audiences, but it is scalable. It should be part of your buying, I mean, of your strategy at this point. If you are here in in this maybe continent, or at least in the US, which is where I'm located, we are located. If you are here, it should be part of your strategy, period. In most of the brands that you have out there and most of the advertisers that you're working with should have some level of strategy that reach out to this type of audience or even other type of audience, like even that growth audiences, like the one Digo is offers. With that said, I could probably talk to both of y'all until tomorrow, but I want to honor your time. And so I'll ask this one last question, right? In every podcast, I'm very curious about the guests' growth, what they've learned over their career with all the shifts and the latest and the greatest. But maybe Anthony, you can lead here. If there's one thing, like your word of wisdom, if there's one thing you wish you knew, then that you now wish that you now know, what would that thing be? Like when I started X amount of years ago, I wish I knew this. Share it with us. And then Augusto will come to you.
Sure. I think I'm gonna take this in a way in what I think everyone should realize early on.
Oh yeah.
Everyone early on within business, right, should value EQ, emotional intelligence when hiring, should believe in karma when it comes to partnerships, right? This is not about what can you do for me tomorrow, right? This is how do you build long standing partnerships, and it will be there. And invest in the relationships that you build, whether there is something immediate there for you or not.
Mhm.
Just be a good person, right? That like these things will come.
Yeah, that is so good. I think this is the first time I've had this answer before. We've had a lot of like ask questions, have the courage to ask the question, have the courage to be curious. But I think emotional intelligence. Oh, I know. I think there's another guest that mentioned it, but um,
If there's a question there, it would be like, don't immediately ask, what's in it for me now?
ooh, that is so good. And I think that's the biggest misconception about the whole piece of networking, which I am going to get contacts in order to get something back, where it should be like, who can I help first? Because eventually somebody could help me. And like you said, it's not about getting that benefit instantly. It's about building up. It's almost like I like to define like networking is more of like a farming where you plant your seeds and after a few months you're able to reap and you're able to continue feeding for the rest of the year and so forth. It's like it's super important. And I feel like relationship building should be like farming. You keep planting, you give it some a little bit of water, a little bit of sun, some of us sink to the plants, and like you continue building it up, and then it will absolutely benefit you and more. And so
And it
thank you
will
so much for
continue to differentiate in an AI.
yeah, yeah. And people remember, people can tell if you're a good person or not. I've had maybe 3 specific calls in the last 2 years. I specifically remember them because it was terrible. It was, they saw, oh, you're a consultant. Okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. Comes to find out, I was reaching out to them because this really large media holding company who had hired me to help them do on another project. And I was looking to bring in partners. And I was like, I literally can make this introduction for you, but you saw that I was just a consultant and then did not give me the time of day.
I see
And I
people.
remember going downstairs and looking at my husband and be like, babe, let me sit down on this one because I got to tell you what just happened. It's like some of those partnerships, like you never know who you talk to. I don't care if it's junior level. I don't care if you just started in this industry. Hear me out. First of all, you have a voice that should be heard, but also you have a superpower in you that makes you magic. Therefore, somebody can hear it. Somebody should hear it. And you never know who that can help. Like you never know who your light can shine on and help shine more positiveness, energy, especially in this world. So thank you so
Right.
much.
That junior person
Yeah,
is your decision maker in 2 years.
exactly,
Right?
exactly.
There's that famous
Or one of your most important
science.
clients.
What?
One of your most important clients.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. And you know what, Augusto,
Zero.
share your word and wisdom on this. What would you wish you knew not then that you now know?
That's for me.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I gotta say Anthony's answer was really, really good.
Yes.
It really moved, my
Yeah,
gears.
it's super good.
Yeah. So thank you for that answer, Anthony.
Yeah.
And like if looking back in my case, you know, I'm on the entrepreneur side.
Mm-hmm.
I created this business with a lot of objection and no's, a
Mm.
lot.
Mm.
Uh, a lot of
So
experts and,
good.
and 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 people around me telling me that it was not feasible, that
Mm-hmm.
it was impossible to create, even to think that I was capable of creating a dent with the Puerto Rican and Dominican population in the advertising industry in
Right.
general.
Mhm.
So uh, I think it was hard. But if there's something that I take from my experience is no is where everything starts.
Ooh, that is so good. Resilience. That's what I hear from you. Like you were resilient, you took the no and then turned it into yeses elsewhere. And I feel like in our generation, don't take rejection very well, and that could be a trauma somewhere in your childhood. If it is, I pray and hope you're taking care of it in therapy or in prayers at least. But I feel like we don't take no's very well. And so maybe this is your permission to understand that, like Augusto said, there are always going to be no's out there. The faster you get to the no, the closer you get to your yes. And something that we forget is that you really just need one yes. Like sometimes you only need one yes. It doesn't matter where you are within your job, a client, I don't know, something like a new strategy, negotiation with your toddler at night to go, only one more book. Like it doesn't matter. Sometimes you only need that one yes. And you have to build your nose and do not take the nose personally. If Augusto took this one no personally, he would have created this magical powerhouse that we need today. Period. That you need in your life. That's it. So thank you so much, Augusto, for being resilient and not taking a no. I'm sure it was not as easy as we defined. I'm sure there were some times where you had to pick something up from below, but you kept going. So we want to thank you for doing this. And also, Anthony, thank you for being here and sharing all your wisdom. I really appreciate both of you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. It was great.
Thank
If
you very much.
if anyone had to reach out to either of you, Augusto, how can they do that?
Well, you could try directly our website in digohispanicmedia.com. I think it's
Okay.
the best channel to. We are very attentive of the forms that people fill to contact us.
Yeah.
There's also a chat that can provide instructions on how to reach a certain department. So
Oh,
it's very very easy, and we have a phone number listed on the site. So if you
nice.
want to try it the old-fashioned way,
Yeah, pick up the phone. Sometimes it's nice to receive a phone call once in a while if it's not scamish.
yeah,
What about you, Anthony?
I'd say, obviously, if you want to get in touch with the company, go that way, or feel free to ask me any questions and contact me directly through LinkedIn.
Yes, and both of Anthony and Augusto's information will be in the show notes of this YouTube video, or if you're listening to me on the podcast show notes. Thank you so much again. And this is not the last time we'll hear from both of them. Make sure you show them some love on LinkedIn. And if you've listened to it all the way to now, make sure you follow, subscribe, and share with your network because that's help out a lot to share this beautiful message. Thank you again to both of you.
thank you. Thank you.
So, if you're watching this content, that means that you're trying to educate yourself and keep learning. Shout out to you. Thank you for engaging with my content. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel where I will be posting daily and weekly of this type of content. Now, if you want to receive it directly inside your work, your email, we have a newsletter for you. Make sure you sign up below. Here's another thing too. Once a month, I will be hosting free workshops with other experts in our industry. If you are interested in that one, we have a special wait list where you can join. And as soon as I open enrollment for those free workshops, you'll be the first to know. Because as always, seats are always counted for. Check the description below for more information. Thank you again for stopping by. Remember to like this video, like all of the content, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us, and maybe leave a review on iTunes. Thanks.